This video is sponsored by Forged, a Jason Knight Maker series.
What's that all about?
Oh, that is the new series by Jason Knight that is available through his website, where Jason gives you tips and tricks and lessons on how to make the elemental knife, in his words, the forged style knives that he likes to make. Forged to sharp, as he would say. It's a great video series that he's put together. Currently, you can purchase it on his website, and there's 6 videos to watch in the first 6 parts of the series. There's going to be exclusive content available on the site as well, coming soon. And if you want to purchase it, you can go to nightforgestudio.com to see where this is and purchase it.
Is there a promo code?
As a matter of fact, there is.
Hey.
If you go on this Nightforge Studio and use coupon code FOF15, FOF15, you can get $15 discounted from the price of this video series.
Nice.
So go on there. If you really want to check out these videos, listen, we have the views on the other video that we did with Jason Knight to kind of prove that
we know you like them.
People like watching Jason Knight work. This video series is all about Jason Knight doing his work and making some badass knives.
Learn from a master smith.
Exactly. It's really, if you think about it, you're learning these lessons from a master smith. It's a bargain.
Yeah.
So check out the video series, and don't forget to use the promo code FOF15 to save $15 on your purchase of the Forge Jason Knight Maker Series videos.
Be a maker. Go check it out. Welcome to Fans of the Forge, where we are recapping in a first.
Oh, yes.
Oak Island. The Curse of Oak Island.
Curse of Oak Island.
Season 7, Episode 1.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I finally got this guy to watch it.
Oh, yeah, I started watching it, all right. Let's just say I have some opinions about this TV show.
Yeah.
But
all right.
We'll get to them as we go. So
let's do it.
I'll before we get into it, I'll preface with saying I watched all of season 1, and I streamed them back to back, and by the end of season 1, I was about ready to never watch the show again because they showed so much of the same animation over and over again and talked about the same things over and over again. It was driving me friggin' nuts. So then I skipped around to a couple other episodes later on in like season 2, and I saw the progression and how things have changed. That was all I watched. And then Sean's like, hey, Oak Island's back on.
It's back, baby.
And so I'm like, all right, I'll watch the first episode. And wouldn't you know it, season 7 began with a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, that's how you got to go off with a bang, man. You gotta come in.
Yeah, you do. I could say that from the previews, there was lots of things that have happened through the last couple of seasons that I was unaware of. And so I was like completely shocked to see some of the changes that have been made on the island. Like the seawall thing that they had. Finding one of the stone flood tunnels. Entry points. And so that stuff was like, okay, so they actually found some stuff. They actually found maybe like another couple artifacts.
They find there's a lot of stuff. So over the seasons, right? I mean, I don't know if you've seen where, they brought in that big machine and it does these big cores.
Yep.
To go down, and then he gets this big hammer grab tool. It goes down, picks up shit, and brings out, and then he sift through it. And so you ever see it like pick up like these timbers? It's bringing out timbers.
Oh wow!
Big timbers out of the ground, like that happened like last season. And so they would drill small holes and like, kind of look for things that to try to pinpoint where they want to do the big drills.
Right.
So they've had a few holes now, and just crazy stuff. They're always trying to find the money pit area, which has been lost over time because that asshole came in, bulldozed the whole fucking island basically.
Oh yeah, it's crazy
because he's a jerk, and he's like, oh yeah, and he just he ripped his shit. So nobody knows where the original money pit location is anymore, and there's all just guesses on it.
It is pretty cool. Okay, so one of the things I did see in the earlier seasons is they'd use that core drilling machine, and when they drilled down in one particular spot, they hit something that seemed like it was a wall of something buried underground, because there was two different directions of timbers. So one was obviously laid across another one in a very specific fashion. It was like 100 and something feet down. So like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That exists there. So I saw some of that. And it is cool.
There's lots of intrigue on the island.
There is. Okay, I've been drawn in on the intrigue. I get it. I mean, it is pretty cool.
I've never binged a season. I can understand, and I've said this to you, how it can be really just numbing. Like, okay, like it's the same thing, and like just get to it, just do something, and I can understand back to back is kind of wear on you.
Yes, because you have to watch it. If you think about it, how it's aired one per week, there's plenty of time between it where you might not think so much about, or they're refreshing you.
They love to do the refreshes. There's
a
lot of refresh and blah blah, and there's a lot of talking about shit. So anyway, moving into this season,
yes,
okay. They start the season. Everyone's in the war room except for Marty and
I don't know the other guy's name that was with him.
Oh man, the bald dude.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Sorry, man. Sorry about that. So anyway, they're off site, but so they decide to have a moment of silence for Dan Blankenship.
Yes,
he passed away,
and 95 years old.
95, and he was there last season. He was still poking around. They still go to him and tell him what they found and stuff like that, and and then so they had. I can't remember. It escapes me because there was another guy on the island that he feuded with who passed away the year before.
Was it Nolan?
Peter Nolan. So the last of the old guard is kind of going away, although they say Dan Henske is like one of the last guys. So
right.
He worked with Blankenship a lot. He's still there. So, it's they're all like gung ho for like, we gotta, this is it. We're all in. We're trying to find shit.
Right.
So at the end of last season, they had the seismic company come in and do all these little they laid out all this dynamite in like a grid pattern across the swamp, and they had sensors placed in that grid, and then they would do little explosions, and the sensors would pick up the activity from that explosion, and it would kind of map out what was underground, what was beneath it. So they did that at the end of last season, and so those results are coming in now,
right,
and showing that there's some sort of potential ship-based large object in the swamp,
which you can actually see right behind us right now.
You see that this ship looks like a wiener.
It does.
Looks like a
big red hot wiener.
A hot dog dick. So, Spanish galleon? Ooh.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Hey. I don't know. Anyhow, so they're going to be exploring the swamp this season.
Yes. As much as
Marty hates the swamp.
Marty hates the swamp.
Yeah.
Yes. I made a note in here.
Yeah.
He hates the swamp. He always talks about how much he hates the swamp ever since season 1. I hate that fucking swamp.
There's some crazy shit in the swamp, though.
There is.
I don't know, man. Peter Nolan found some timbers in there that were round and like shaped, that just didn't make any sense. So there's always just stuff everywhere on the island doesn't make any sense. So last season, they also found the entrance to one of the flood tunnels.
Right.
It used to be one of the flood tunnels. So it's got these stones that are kind of like form a triangle and kind of go like into the island. So they're going to try to track that a little bit further. then we have the whole big slipway that they found.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy. All that timber stuff is crazy.
Oh yeah.
So, now they're going to extend that cofferdam to
Right.
try to go further out and see if they can find more stuff out there. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was a cool idea that they finally found one of these flood tunnels, and if you can trace it back to the point where they think 5 flood tunnels come to one,
Right.
if you can get to that point, you would think then it would be the middle one is the straight shot pointing
Right.
directly towards where the chamber is that it's going to.
Right.
So something that they're probably going to look into further on in the season, I would guess.
And so they kick off. All right, so that's all what we're gonna see. So then Gary Drayton, we're gonna go metal detecting at Isaac's Point.
Yes, Gary Drayton. You can see a note later on.
Yes, I saw that.
Saw that note. I'm not going to say that.
They're going through, and I got something. Oh, it's a shotgun show. Okay, whatever. So then you keep going, and they found this button.
Yeah, that was
And
cool.
it
It
was
a neat button.
I believe he called it a Bobby Dazzler.
It was a Bobby Dazzler.
Yeah.
It's a dandy button.
It's a silver button. It's got the Starburst design on it. And I think it's from this year, blah, blah, whatever. But
They do with everything.
Yeah, I mean,
it's from this year. It's from that year. They don't know what
You have
fucking
no
year.
idea. So, moving on. They're in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
They have it might be Gary Sampson, their diving expert. I'm
Yep.
not positive. I think that's who
it
it was, right? So they have the data of the seismic, map that they have, the penis. So they're trying to chase the wiener in the swamp, right? So they're in these little scuba rafts. They're in these little dinghies. So one guy's got the GPS locator on a pole. So they're trying to go where the wiener is, and then Samson's gonna kind of poke and prod and try to dive down to see what's what. And so he's on some sort of platform. He says he's like, well, it's pronounced, it's different, and then it slopes off the sides. So it seems like it's almost like a pathway, a walkway, or roadway, if you will,
Right.
from in between the swamp, from one land part of the island to the other dry part of the island. So
Which meets up with theories that this one causeway in the middle where the swamp is used to be actually just a separation between two islands,
right.
that they cordoned off the water and just backfilled it in.
Yeah, they intentionally sank this boat and then filled in over it.
Right. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. So then, back to the war room?
Yep, they go back to the war room
Yep.
and they do a review of the button.
Right, to show everyone the button.
And, it goes back to Marty talking about how much he hates the swamp, but because we keep finding stuff there, I'm all for it. I'm the last guy you would even want to hear that from, but I'm saying we're going back to the swamp. Yeah. And so they're talking about this metal, the stone walkway, right? They have this mapped out now, and then they're doing this look at the seismic data on the penis chart, and it shows that wharf, or whatever it is, that stone walkway is right in the front. So maybe that's part of a metal wharf or a stone wharf that was built. So that's kind of neat. It would make sense if that was an easy shallow spot to come in between the islands and then park a boat. Why not have a wharf there where you could unload stuff? And
it was a straight line, so the diver is pinpointing, the walkway, if you will, and where he's putting the pole. It's a straight line,
right?
And there's no way he could have just done that. So he's feeling and having to be just straight line. So there was something to that.
Oh yeah. So
it's not natural,
right? We'll see how that plays out. Yeah. So anyway, they go back into the swamp. They keep saying, let's get in the swamp, go back to the swamp. Then they went back to Isaac's Point,
right,
which is where they had found the button. And this time it was Gary Drayton with the Lagina son. I don't remember his first name.
I forget.
And they find a hand mirror, an old hand mirror without the mirror in it, just like the frame.
I think they found like a piece of glass in it or something like that. Or like
was there? I
thought they found like a little speck of like glass or something.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see it. But anyway, that's cool. They toss it in their bag and bring it back. And then they go down to the beach from there. Yeah. And it's funny. The guy with the metal detector, I know, of course, he's not going to be the one to then shovel it out. But it's just like every time he goes, beep, beep, beep. There it is. There, right there. Flip it over.
Yeah. All right, get digging.
Get digging. Yep, get digging. And then, they pull it out, and what do they find? A hand-forged iron spike.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it looked like a giant nail that maybe they were used to hammer together part of a ship or something. But it wasn't shaped like a regular nail because near the top part where the head was, it was much thicker. Wait, it was thinner. It was thinner there, and then it got thicker near the point, and then it kind of came off to a more of a chisel style point. And they're like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and it's not as corroded because of the carbon content of the iron. That's the good iron.
Yeah.
And so they bring it back with them. They have the button cleaned off by their guy that knows how to.
Special like artifacts, dude.
Yeah. And from there, they find out it was actually cast and stamped, not necessarily hand carved like they thought at first. But because of what it was, they could pinpoint it better between the 1726 and 1776 time frame. And they came to the conclusion that maybe it was a military button from the time.
So that just kind of pooped on their, because they thought it went way back, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. They thought it was back. Like really far back.
Yeah. So...
Okay.
Rick and Marty.
Rick and Marty, yep.
Sounds like Rick and Morty.
Oh, it definitely does.
Rick and Marty.
Oh, okay. So the
your
reason
note
this is
to remember
written
them
here,
is goatee and no goatee.
Yes. Because I was looking at them and I've watched all these episodes, but I still cannot remember their names. And then eventually it pops up at some point or another.
Yeah.
And so I had been putting notes down so I could remember who was who. And so I had Rick and Marty, Lagina brothers, goatee and no goatee. And then I had Lagina's son travels with British guy, which should have been British guy. So that was just me keeping track of things.
So Marty, you'll notice too, he's off-site a lot. He's on the video conference. He also wears Mari Vineyards shirts a lot because he owns part of that vineyard too.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. So yeah. So there you go. Marty.
Yeah, I saw him he was wearing some hat, which usually they blur out hats and stuff.
No.
No, not for this. It was like pretty clear as day, like promoting something.
Yeah.
Anyway, they move on to beer time.
Yeah.
At the Mug and Anchor.
Mm-hmm.
I had another note. A 2-hour episode is far too long. Yeah. By this point, I was done, and I'm still taking notes, and I was like, okay. How much? There's only 15 minutes left. What are they going to do in the last 15 minutes?
What did they do?
They go back to the swamp.
Yeah, they did.
For core drilling this time.
Right. Now, they get this company that's going to have a drilling rig floating on these big pontoons in the swamp that's going to pull some cores out or whatever.
Right.
So that they get all that shit put together, and then it's next episode we should see them actually drill some stuff.
Yeah, and it ends with them just being like, it's time for some answers. Right. As it gets core drilled out.
Right.
But overall, okay, so what is my take from this episode? Things have definitely happened, far more than I was expecting to have happened after watching the first season. I do find some of the discoveries very, very interesting. I am very curious, as well as I'm sure you and most of the viewers are, as to what is actually there. I'm bought in. Mm-hmm. I will watch the rest of this season and keep track of what's going on a little bit.
Last season, they went on some quest to find that stone tablet.
Oh,
they've always been talking about. So as much as I like the show, I will rip it apart too on how stupid some of the stuff is. Okay. So the tablet, right? They always show it in in the episode.
Every time.
Every episode, every time it's there.
Yep.
Oh, a tablet with these strange markings on it. They basically write the markings on it. Who told them what these markings were? Did they just come up with these? They say it's a code that people have tried to decipher, and other people have come up with different meanings. So they've come up with some iteration where it's like 40 feet below, like 2 million is buried or something like that.
Right.
I don't know how you get that from slashes and triangles. I really don't. In periods. I don't know how you do that.
It was supposed to be some sort of cipher or something, or like kind of like hieroglyphic sort of thing.
Yeah, but it's like I didn't seem like dynamic enough. There weren't, to me, enough characters to write that message at all. But then, like, how do they know what to put on there for this animation?
Oh, well, they had a rubbing. I thought they had said that they had a rubbing, like in books, people have put these symbols down from rubbings that were taken from the original stone before it went missing.
Interesting.
That's what I think happened in the first season they were talking about.
All right.
But,
so last season they went in search of the stone. So they went into town. It was supposedly in some bookstore in the window for a while. They went into the bookstore basement. They left. They went back. They found some different rooms. They found a stone. They brought it back. They couldn't find shit. They basically came up with nothing. They found a stone that looked like it had like something like chiseling into, like carved into it. Maybe that was like it. It was so rubbed. There, if this was a stone, it was completely rubbed off.
Oh wow!
And there's like theories that like it was used. I had this fabric. It was a general store, and they used to cut fabric on it. So they would drag the fabric across it, and somehow that rubbed everything off of it. I find that hard to believe.
Just fabric doing
fabric.
that?
I mean, come on, you're not like rubbing the shit out of it. It's a stone.
Fabric is soft too, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the fabric.
So,
you can't imagine that it's going to be abrasive enough or that rough.
So anyway, it was just a bunch of hooey and who knows and whatever.
Right. The stone. I never really thought that sat well with me anyway, because they came up with multiple translations, and they all have a full meaning to them.
Yes.
Right? You would think that if this guy has come up with some other way of deciphering it, how are they all getting messages? One of them should be gibberish still. Like if they think it doesn't make sense. They're coming up with messages based off of these things, but they're not. I don't see the proof of how they're actually determining what these fucking mean.
Yeah.
And so that part drives me nuts too. So I totally get where you're coming from with that whole section.
Another thing that really bothers me is the legend. Okay. They say this every episode. Legend says 7 people must die before the treasure is found. 6 people have died so far searching for the treasure. Who the fuck came up with this legend? Right? Where was this legend written? So you're telling me there's maybe that's where the curse of Oak Island comes from.
Yeah.
But who? From what? Who?
Who knows?
How? Who came up with this legend? What legend? Where was this written? There's no evidence. The show hasn't given it to anyone.
No.
They haven't said it was written on a stone. If you said it was written somewhere on something on the island, I would believe that. But there's not. Some asshole just came up with this shit. He was probably drunk in that bar. Oh, yeah, legend says there's 7 people gonna die. My pappy was over there. No, it's just nothing happened where this came about. Like it's just someone just like blurted it out like verbal diarrhea. It came from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a break. Stop saying that. Unless you can tell us, the viewers, we're in season 7 now. I don't think I've ever heard on the show where this legend has come from.
Yeah,
I'm tired of hearing of it every single time.
It's in the credits.
It's everywhere.
Like the opening credits of the show.
Yes.
It says how they started.
They open the show this way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Get rid of that. It's dumb. What legend?
It's so bad.
Who makes up legends? Can I make up a legend?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, of course.
All right, I'll come up with one next week.
Okay, great.
All right.
Great. Alrighty.
Sounds like fun.
It does.
Yep.
Oh, what else can I shit on about this right now? Because there's lots of things that made me mad when I first started watching it. Some of the different adventures they go on in search of clues, like one of them where they flew to Europe. And
Oh my God! When they went to France,
it
they
might
went
have
to
been
Dome, France,
yeah.
and he talked about the cross.
I don't know.
You got to catch up on some seasons, my friend.
Oh my gosh.
You got to go back to like 4.
I'll tell you, this one was, I don't know if it was France, but they go into this old church, and it's this little weird old church that they're like, this is linked to the Oak Island. And I go, what the fuck? How is this possibly linked? And then they tell the story of this church where it's like they had some sort of secret holy object inside, and they were being raided by whoever the local ruler was, and they somehow managed to say, give us 2 weeks to evacuate. And they, in that time, they get something, the Holy Grail,
Right.
who knows?
Ark of the Covenant?
Ark of the Covenant, out of this building and send it to the Oak Island.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the reasoning for why it's connected is because there's a thing of Jesus, and on this thing of Jesus, there's corn. There's fucking corn on the statue of Jesus, and they go, corn wasn't native to this area. Okay, that's weird, but it's just fucking corn. We found corn in the drain pipes. Oh my God. You think just because there's an ear of corn on that statue, it's the drain pipe corn that they shoved in there, or like, I forget what the drain pipe corn was. It had to do with,
I don't know.
They came across this idea that they filled up something with corn as a way to stop. That's how they were able to like keep water from going into the flood tunnels, was if they could find the right spots, they could dump kernels of corn into it. It would then suck up and get all mushy and sucked up the water, and it would block the water flow into the tunnels. That was their big thing. And because this one statue had an ear of corn on it, and it was facing in the same direction as Oak Island, because technically, if you're on a planet that's a globe, any direction you point will eventually point to wherever you're pointing.
Oh.
Right? If I point that way, I could probably figure out a line around the world that's going to get me to Oak Island, right?
Maybe.
Doesn't that make sense?
No.
Yeah, I think so. Why wouldn't it?
Why would it?
It's a circle.
If
it goes around everywhere.
the Earth is round and you point, it's just going to go around back to your ass.
Yeah, but if you turn a little bit, eventually
you got to turn a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. You point, you figure out any direction.
You got to point, and then you got to like figure that out.
My point being is, they're saying that it was oriented the same way as Oak Island or some bullshit. Okay, and it was ridiculous. They had didn't make sense, and it was a freaking ear of corn. And that was when I was like, I'm not watching any more of these seasons right now. I can't.
You gotta, I don't know. It might be best to read up on Wikipedia. I wasn't all in on the original, like the first seasons.
Okay.
But like I got more into it. There's some stuff on the island, man. There's a stone cross. It's the Nolan cross. Like that's weird.
It is strange.
Giant stones in a perfect cross, and then sometimes they do excursions like across the bay. Like there's a big stone face that seems to be like looking at Oak Island or something like that. It's got like features of a face, like it's got a nose and like an eye like cut into it.
Well, okay, so they also go on an excursion at one point like 90 miles away and just go walking in the woods, and in the woods there's a rock on the ground that has carvings in it, and that carving and that rock is related to Oak Island for some reason.
Right. Yeah, there's some of that. There's some of that too, man. Man, there's something else. What? They find a metal cross.
Right, I saw
cross.
I saw the metal cross.
They go to France. They see the same kind of shape, like carved into a wall, like a catacomb or something like that. Some crazy stuff.
It is.
But there's Shakespeare had like a thing, like in a book, and like if you took like certain letters, or I don't know, I forget how it was, or he like described, or he had a map that like had like Oak Island on it or something like that. I don't know, it was something weird. someone else came up with. Now you get some loonies that come on the show into the war room.
Yes.
That bring their theories.
Yes.
Some are like, okay, like, well, I mean, if you put it that way, like, wait, this sounds, kind of half valid. Someone else came up with, I guess, another cipher. Someone came up with, they had like similar markings, like a half a map, so it looked like it went to Oak Island. So it was like stuff that happened like not too many seasons back. I think past couple. All
right, how about this? This guy, they have this one guy on in one of the first seasons, and it's all about how this is related to the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail, getting the Ark of the Covenant. And he goes into this whole huge backstory.
All right.
And then, all right, fine. They have him on for one episode. They're like, and they're even talking about, like, this guy seems a little far-fetched. I don't know about this. Later in the season, they have him come back, and he's running the scuba dive crew to go down 10X and try to get to the bottom of 10X. And I'm like, you just were like, we don't believe what this guy's saying to us, but now he's in charge of our scuba diving crew. It was just odd that they went back to this guy.
Maybe we should come up with our own theories, bring him up there. Maybe we can run a crew. Let's bring some metal detectors.
Yeah,
I'll bring a metal detector. You bring the shovel. You can dig up the shit.
Right there. Dig it under that rock.
Over there, Sonny. Get digging.
Oh, boy. Anyway.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, so we said our takeaways. We aired our grievances. We'll keep up with this season.
Yeah.
I'll keep watching it. We can do little wrap-ups for each one. And maybe they'll find something cool. Because in the promos for this season, they make a point to show Marty Lagina going, it's all true.
Listen. It's going to be some bullshit. It's going to be some bullshit. What's true? That there was a boat in a swamp. It might have been just like something stupid, like an old fishing boat.
It could be. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah. It's all true. Like,
It's all true in that this place does exist and there are these weird things there. We'll give them that. I will definitely do that.
There's a lot of weird stuff that happened there.
And with that, thank you for watching.
Like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment. I want to hear what you think of Oak Island.
What are your Oak Island theories?
Is it really a waste of time? I don't think so.
I don't think it's a waste of time, but I would hate for it to be like Geraldo Rivera opening Al Capone's vault and there's just nothing. Which it could be. There's nothing that says it can't be that.
Well, it's theories like, okay, what if people came back and already got the treasure out? There's nothing left.
Right.
It's possible, too.
It's possible. Yeah. So you, in the comments, let us know what you think about the Curse of Oak Island and what your theories are about
this. Feels like a borderlines on Ancient Aliens.
Oh, it totally is. It's totally Ancient Aliens.
It's some weird stuff. You can't really explain it.
They hit the same stuff over and over again like Ancient Aliens does.
I feel like they could explain more alien stuff than you can Oak Island.
How is Ancient Aliens even on TV anymore? It's been on for like 20 seasons.
Even just commercials for Alien Con.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're going strong.
I mean, I've watched more recent episodes occasionally if I have nothing else to watch, and they're showing the same stuff that they've showed 10 seasons ago. Like, how are they keeping it up?
They live.
I guess. Anyway, that's the end of the episode.
Sunglasses there.
Thanks, everybody, for watching.
They live. Put them on.
What are you talking about?
The movie, They Live.
No, I know that. What about
your sunglasses are right there.
Oh.
They live.
I see everything now.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're not.
All right. There were some weird looking aliens in that movie.
They were pretty crazy. Yeah. Classic. All right. That's the end of the episode.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next time. I need to take these off so I can,
The wiener. The wiener.